Hello everyone, this is Rohini Prasad here. Today we are going to study absorption by roots. Need for water and minerals in plants. What is the need for water in plants? We are going to study here. Plants require water for the process of photosynthesis. It is used as raw material in synthesis of glucose, transpiration for cooling and suction force, etc. Water is required. Next is transportation. Now transportation of substances like the roots absorb water from the soil. Soil have various micro and macronutrients which the plants require. So that for that purpose water is required for transportation of minerals in different parts of the plants. Then it provides mechanical stiffness, that is it provides turgidity for stiffness of the plant tissue so that plant can stand erect, and it provides rigidity to the plant cell. Next is minerals. What is the role of mineral in plants? Minerals, constituents of cell and cell organelles, synthesis of compounds or enzymes. Now when we study about absorption of water and minerals, the most important structure which absorbs water and minerals from the soil is the root hair. Here you can see the diagram of a typical root hair. Root hair is unicellular in structure. It has a cell wall, cell membrane, a large vacuole is present, a nucleus and cytoplasm is present here. So absorption of water and mineral occur through the root hair, which is a unicellular structure. The characteristics of roots for absorbing water. What are the characteristics? Firstly, it provides a huge surface area is provided by the root hairs. Root hair contains cell sap. As in the diagram you have seen, a large vacuole is present there. So cell sap is present in abundant there. Roots hair have thin walls. Thin walls are present so that they can intake water and mineral from the soil. Now the process which involves or helps in absorption and conduction of water and mineral are imbibition. Imbibition means the dead cells of the plant imbibe water in them. Diffusion, osmosis, active transport, turgidity and flaccidity. In detail we are going to study about diffusion, osmosis, active transport, turgidity and flaccidity. First let us discuss about diffusion. Diffusion, when we talk about the definition for diffusion, it is the free movement of molecule of a substance from the region of a higher concentration to the region of a lower concentration. Now this means you can take example of incense stick. The incense stick which we burn, it in a corner of a room, the odor spreads in whole room, means from a higher concentrated area it is moving towards the lower concentrated area. Similarly, you can take an example. You take a glass of water. In that, if you add a pinch of color, it diffuses very fast in the water. So that is called as diffusion. Next is osmosis. Osmosis is similar to diffusion, but there is a slight difference in diffusion and osmosis. Just see the definition. The movement of water molecules from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Here, whatever the movement of water molecule is there, it is from higher to lower concentration, but a semi-permeable membrane is required. So that is called as osmosis. In the diagram you can see here a semi-permeable membrane is there, which allows only certain particles to move towards the direction of osmosis. Now there are two types of osmosis, end osmosis and exosmosis. When we talk about endosmosis, endosmosis means movement of water molecules inside the cell. So that is called as inward movement or diffusion of water through a semi-permeable membrane when the surrounding solution is less concentrated. So that is called as endosmosis. Exosmosis, when we talk about, it is the outward diffusion of water through a semi-permeable membrane when the surrounding solution is more concentrated, and it causes shrinkage of cell. Exosmosis will cause shrinkage of cell. Endosmosis will cause turgidity of the cell. The cell will acquire its original shape. Then osmotic pressure. When we talk about osmosis, osmotic pressure is more important. Osmotic pressure of a solution is a measure of its tendency to take water by it. There are some various experiments based on osmotic pressure. That is a Thistle funnel experiment is there, which shows that how pressure is being created in this through the semi-permeable membrane where the movement of molecule occurs. Then when we talk about the absorption of water and mineral, tonicity is the most important thing. It is a term that describes the ability of solution to cause a cell to gain or lose water. When a cell is gaining water or it is losing water, that is called as tonicity. Now this tonicity depends upon the concentration of a solute or salt on both the side of the membrane. Keep it in mind, it is the concentration of the solute. When we talk about a solution is made up of solute and solvent. So here tonicity, it depends on the concentration of solute or salt on both the sides of the membrane. Now here there are three types of tonicity: hypotonic, isotonic and hypertonic tonicity is present there. Now when you see the solutions, you cannot call one solution a hypotonic or other solution a hypertonic. There has to be always a comparison on the basis of the concentration of solute which is present there. Now here you see the definitions. Isotonic solution, a solution that has the same solute concentration as another solution. Now here in the diagram you can see 20% solute concentration, 80% of water. Water moves in and out of the cell. There is no net movement of water particles and the overall concentration on both the sides of cell membrane remain constant. Means there will be no exchange of water molecules, so that is, and it will remain constant, so that is called as isotonic solution. Hypertonic solution, a solution that has a higher solute concentration than another solution. Now here again I mark it, you have to keep it in mind, the solute concentration, not the solvent concentration. So water particles, what will happen? Water particles will move out of the cell causing cyanation. Okay, so there will be when we talk about hypertonic, so there will be a shrinkage of the cell because water molecule is moving outside and because of the solute concentration which is higher inside the cell. Now next is hypotonic solution, a solution that has a lower solute concentration than another solution. Water molecules will move inside. So when water molecules are moving inside, so it will cause turgidity of the cell. So this will expand and eventually lyse up. So this is three solution: isotonic, hypertonic and hypotonic, and these all type of tonicity depends upon the solute concentration present there. Now here we see in animal cell and plant cell what are hypotonic, isotonic and hypertonic. In animal cell, plant cell, plant cell it will be plasmolyzed, shriveled, isotonic, both the things will be normal. Then hypotonic, it will be lysed and turgid. Then when we talk about turgidity and flaccidity, turgidity means when water enters by osmosis, vacuole swells and pushes against cell wall. Flaccidity, when we talk about a flaccid cell, the water lost from the cell vacuole shrinks, cell loses its shape. So when a cell acquires its shape, that is called as turgidity or turgid cell. When it loses or shrinkage of cell occurs, that is called as flaccidity or flaccid cell. Now when absorption of water by root occurs through root pressure. So what is root pressure theory? At the root, cell in contact with the soil actively take up the mineral ions. This creates a difference in the concentration of these ions between the roots and the soil. So slowly the process, diffusion, osmosis, turgidity, flaccidity will occur. Therefore, water moves from the soil into the cell to eliminate this difference. Now, water is moving inside the cell. So, which process occurs here? End osmosis is occurring so that this concentration difference can be cleared. So, there is a steady movement of water into root xylem, creating a column of water that is steadily pushed upwards. This is due to creation of pressure in the xylem vessels of the root. When a pressure is created in the xylem vessels of root, slowly and steadily the water is pushed upward to the plants, to the different parts of the plants. Now how does root pressure occur? Rate of transpiration is low, roots still collecting minerals. Water is forced from higher pressure in roots to lower pressure in the leaves. In the diagram you can see how water is moving from soil into the roots. Then through root pressure it is being taken to stem and then to the leaf. This is a cellular diagram of the root which shows that how water is entering into the root from the soil particle. So what happens from soil particle, the root hair absorbs water, it moves towards the cortex, then towards the endodermis, pericycle, and then it moves towards the protoxylem. So this is how upward movement of water occurs in roots. This is a schematic diagram. You can see epidermis is there, then from epidermis to cortex, then cortex to endodermis, then to pericycle and xylem is the conducting tissue. It conducts water from roots to different parts of the plants. Now here is a video just to make clear that how it works.
Root pressure. When a plant is carefully severed close to the base of the stem, the sap oozes from the stump. The fluid comes out under pressure, which is called root pressure. Root pressure is of vital significance in plants, for it forces up water against the gravity to the tip of even the tallest plant. Let us observe a root and a part enlarged to show the root hairs. Now let us see what the root pressure actually means and how it is developed. The water and mineral salts absorbed from the soil by the root hairs gradually accumulate in the cortex. As a result, the cortical cells become fully turgid. Under this condition, their elastic walls, being much stretched, exert pressure on the fluid contents and force out a small quantity towards the xylem vessel. Now the cortical cells become flaccid. they again absorb water and become turgid, and the same process continues. Thus, an intermittent pumping action goes on in the cortex of the root, and this gives rise to a considerable pressure. As a result of this pressure, the water is forced into the xylem vessels through the passage cells of the endodermis, and the unthickened areas and pits that the vessels are provided with. Besides, the lignified walls of the vessels are also permeable to water. Root pressure is thus explained as the pressure exerted on the liquid contents of the cortical cells of the root under fully turgid conditions, forcing a quantity of them into the xylem vessels and through them upwards into the stem up to a certain height. The gradient of water concentration that exists across the cortex creates a pushing force called root pressure. Let us now perform this activity to understand root pressure. Select a well-watered plant for the experiment. Cut the plant a few centimeters above the soil. Immediately fix glass tubing to it and by means of rubber tubing connect a manometer. Note the initial level of mercury. Gradually, water starts coming out of the cut end of the stem. This rising water raises the mercury level in the manometer. This upward flow of water is due to the heavy pressure from the roots, which is called the root pressure.
So root pressure is thus explained as pressure exerted on liquid content of the cortical cells of the root under fully turgid condition, forcing a quantity of it into the xylem vessels and through them upwards into the stem up to a certain height. Now, what is ascent of sap? Ascent of sap is also an important factor for absorption of water. The upward movement of water from the root to the aerial parts of the plant body is called ascent of sap, or commonly we can call it as translocation of water. Now, do you know that a plant having 400 feet or more also needs water, and the water has to move upward into 400 feet. Trees like Ciconia semipervenes are tall as 300 to 400 feet. They are 4,000-year-old and giants among the tree plant. These plants transport water through their stem must be incredible. Now, how does this occur? This occurs through ascent of sap, and ascent of sap has various theories like root pressure theory, capillarity theory, transpirational pull theory, and adhesion theory. Now here transpiration works very much in ascent of sap, because as transpiration occurs, plants evaporate more and more of water and a pressure is created in the root. So through root pressure, the plants get water. Transpiration and root pressure are the two theories which fulfill ascent of sap. So hope you all have understood the absorption of water